What's going up? Respect, unconditional love. Kind of cold, chilly. Just wanted to come talk to y'all for a minute about something. As a bell, we're gonna talk about the quantum because it's important. Like the quantum is super duper important. What's more important than the quantum is how you understand it, right? So I'm gonna say this: when they be talking about the quantum field of reality, right? They're talking about the real creation of how and where you were made. Like why you got a birth certificate because you come out of some form of waters, right? Like you didn't come out the ocean. You know what I'm saying? You came out of primordial waters. What are primordial waters? It's the actual like stream of the quantum physics. You know what I'm saying? It's the stream of where creation can flow through. Like everything in life flows through that, whether it's your finance, whether it's the way you want to change your life, anything, like, you know what I'm saying? Everything flows in the primordial waters, you know what I'm saying? The ethereal waters, they all kind of connected in some aspect, you know what I mean? So what's important about that is all original people are created from that, right? Then you have something called a non-original creation. That means this creation that is like a man is not particularly created, right, in the highest efficiency of a creator. Okay, so this is where the real problem came in at. Because you had people who wasn't full creators yet or full universal gods creating beings or some type of life form. So then it takes you to that whole conversation of how and why is the rhesus monkey in different individuals. I'm not going to stray. I just want to make a point. Uh, but then we're talking about the quantum. So what's important about the quantum is they show you this. They show you can go look at their documents. They show you when they shine light through certain prisms, it shows a reflection of nine. And that reflection of nine can be viewed by individuals. But when you try to record it happening, it removes the reflection of nine and it shows you two. And that's because of the observer, right? So what's so important about that? Like what's missing from that statement? You know what I'm saying? Like what's really missing from that statement? Well, in all actuality, if you understood what was the the gem or the transmitter of that universal energy into those nine, you would understand the problem that they have. Being that the original people are the original transmitters. So we can take energy into us and push it out, right? And it comes out at our efficiency of how we do things, right? This is why there's so many great levels and aspects of original people. And this is why we so arrogant, narcissistic, and all that, you know what I'm saying? Because of how much universal energy is coming through us and how we putting it out. You see what I'm saying? In the efficiency level. They know that, right? So when you have a conversation with most Caucasians, they can't really feel you. They can learn you, but they can't feel you. Because, you know what I'm saying, it's just like we as people, we feel situations, you know what I'm saying? That's why we lean more towards the right. We vibe on things, you know what I'm saying? Like we feel individuals' vibes, you know what I'm saying? We feel like if an area is not right, we know how to move, or we know when to slow back. We feel the primordial aspect of the universe, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that they're trying to understand why. But that's just like a baby, right? They only been here 6,000 years, regardless of how they was created. They only been here 6,000 years, so they not gonna know nothing. You know what I'm saying? I just want to put that out there. You know what I'm saying? No matter how hard they try, they want to be like intelligent babies. You know what I'm saying? That's why they make cartoons. Like if you look at everything that they do, it's basically to show you the level of how they were created. Even look at Lord of the Rings. They show you the orcs. Spell orc backwards. It's Kro. It's crow. What does crow represent? Death. Death, you know what I'm saying? Coming from death. You know what I'm saying? So they were born from death. The Caucasian, death, the dead Chinese. We already know that, you know what I'm saying, information. Like, so the quantum is what they want to, it's like taking your glasses and making the lens dirty. So then everything that happens in life, you know what I'm saying, that you deal with out of the aspect of propaganda control, it fucks with the reality of how you perceive the waters flowing through you or what you know what I'm saying? So then instead of you just being, you know, an innate talent, just natural skill, you have to work on something. Like, you know what I'm saying, which you put work towards something you're not letting the universe be. It's like you're damming the flow because you're trying to moderate what comes through you. And that's never going to give you full pretense as far as being the universal God that you was laid here to be. Like, even if you watch how they be like in the movies, one thing to rule them all, and then they show you a circle. What's a circle? A circle or a round table. You know what I'm saying? What's that a round table? A bunch of motherfucking niggas. Who was the creators? Like a circle, it was like what, five or six or more than that. You know what I'm saying? A circle of individuals that created out of the aspect of 360 degrees. You know what I'm saying? That is very prominent. And that's what they've been trying to destroy. If you look at it, look at the movies, like they show you them destroying the one circle. It's not a one being. It's the bunch of beings becoming one individual, and that's what they try and destroy, that one purpose, because they think if they destroy the one purpose, then all the all the non what you want to say, like all the non creators will be gone. So then they just out there by themselves. That's what they want to be. That's what they think they want to be. And in hindsight, that is an assumption. And then on top of that, that's the worst thing they want, because if we wasn't here, they wouldn't have nothing to steal to create their next level. You know what I'm saying? It will just keep going in depth of the rhetoric of how they live. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you think about it, you know what I mean? They can't create miracles. What they do is they recreate the aspect of what they've been dealing with since they've been created. And they look towards us to see how what's new look like or what it would be like. They can't feel that into existence. You know what I mean? Because they don't have those particular units that come from the universe. And that's lack thereof of their creator. Okay. So certain levels of governor is needed in life, but not on the aspects of governors what people think they need. Like, you can't control people with the way they think by giving them this what you're doing. And especially it's the whole Solomon, King Solomon aspect. Like, if you know your book or whatever, you know King Solomon, had all these. He learned the sigils and the magic and shit, and his whole purpose was to keep his foot on the head of the poor righteous teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like, as long as he kept pressure on the poor righteous teacher would manifest universal qualities. You know what I'm saying? That he can still and use for his benefit against his enemies or the demons that he couldn't control himself because he wanted riches. So that was that whole process. It's like, in order to be uh, powerful in this world, you have to be in that aspect, right? So it's almost like an awakening. Like, we're gonna get the universal pretense, because the original gods may not be of this world, but what they're of is they're of their creation. So they don't care about what goes on here. I think what they more or less care about is the outcome of the creation. So this is why there's no immediate step in from your conscious play or your higher self. It's not no immediate step in. It keeps you from abolishing yourself, right? But it lets you go through certain things, and death is something that people have to grow through from some aspect. But you have to also understand that it's not death is not the end all. You know what I mean? It's just something that happens. You know what I mean? A weapon that was thrown into this aspect. So back on understanding the quantum, in that world, in the ethereal primordial world, like, we have the creation, the power of the creation of life. You know what I'm saying? So losing life is not a particular. Okay, and just want to keep focusing on that. Losing life is not a particular. That's something that's gonna happen. But savagery is just what it is. You know what I'm saying? And it has its own basis of what it understands. It's not gonna it can't show you no more out of its basis of how intelligent it is. Okay, and intelligent is not, the word itself sounds more hyped up than what it actually entails. Intelligent only falls on the lowest level chakra. You know what I'm saying? It's like down your red chakra. That's where your intelligence is. It's like to hunt or to be, you know what I'm saying, to have some type of tactical skills. That's what intelligence comes. How would you move in a tactical situation if you just had to? You know what I mean? So intelligence is not really all that. The real thought patterns come from the rest of the chakras when you can combine all of them, you know what I'm saying, into one motion, you know what I mean, which is universal. Um, so if anything that I would say that mankind have, I would say that mankind has a red chakra, a blue chakra, and possibly, I believe they could have a white chakra. I believe a white chakra could be available. But I don't think, and the only reason why I think a white chakra is available because creation is important. Life itself, being able to create life, that aspect is important. You know what I mean? So that's a good lesson that an individual could have learned from the universal gods. Like, if you're going to look at it in the right way, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't really get in the mix of somebody else's battle. But if I'm going to say anything about the situation, I would say that uh, the student of the universal teacher probably scaled an 80 on this test by creating life. Created life that just didn't have the complete pretense. You know what I mean? So the Most High's creations are always going to be, taken care of, no matter what the detrimental plan is. But to see another creation live in its own class in itself, and to say how well it is done, not to say that what it done. We're not talking about right or wrong. We're talking about um, relativity. Like if it would be relative to give a universal pretense to. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's like I be hearing the OGs, like, you know what I'm saying, the old teachers talk it, and see what they be saying is the OGs say shit like, the ill natural gonna get a soul and they gonna be forgiven. And it's kind of that's kind of deep that they can feel that because more than that, not just that they gonna get a soul, is to say that their creator scaled high on his test. He might not have made 100, but he scaled well enough to make it a pretense, and the Most High can correct the rest of it. You see what I'm saying? So to throw them into another situation with melanin next time, or a certain amount of melanin in a crazy altitude of situations, would just be conducive to the growth of systematic issues to make sure later in life that they possibly can be something else. You know what I'm saying? So what happens is we became victim of a process that you personally didn't have to. When you were so high on different levels of alpha algorithm, you just chose to keep sticking your nose in to whatever circumstance to play a part, you know what I mean, or control aspect, like as if you were the gods, but before not growing into the shoes. Like you have to get there first. You know what I'm saying? Then when you get there, then that's, you know what I'm saying. Uh, you know, that's where you can go. You know what I'm saying, to make those type of decisions. But you can't make a pro boxing decision until you do pro boxing training, basically. You know what I mean? And I think that's more the issue. But then when you have non-lucrative ways of thinking, explaining what happened on a universal balance, you don't get full understanding of the story. So then everybody gets confused and you lose more than you gain. You know what I'm saying? Like I could tally on, you know what I'm saying, and go deep into it, but I just want to focus on the fact that the quantum is what we was born with. We was born out of the primordial waters. You know what I'm saying? And we came into that's why, and it's crazy. Most black children have a power as kids. They have a power of imagination, and when I say the word imagination, because they can create out of thin air. And there's been more experiences where a young black child has experienced some universal pretense when they're young and then lost it. Won't talk about it, act like they don't remember shit like that. But nah, you know what you went through as a kid that gave you something. You know what I mean? And you just might have put it down and summed it up as childhood ways of thinking. You know, them signs and symbols, they be real deep, yo. You know what I'm saying? And you just can't see it. Like, it keeps, you know what I'm saying? It'll make you face different things so you can get over it. You know what I'm saying? Over and over and over. And then your mind might say you tired of the problem, but it's probably presenting to you that way so that your mind may ultimately start to make a solution to the issue. But because emotions are more relevant here in this society, um, is the reason why people can't focus on a big picture. You know what I'm saying? So then relativity becomes a different aspect. It starts to take on different forms and whatever it needs to do to, you know, make the information relative to your circumstance. So how erratic you are is how more the universe will throw back at you your erraticness and how you understand the pretense. Thus, the overstanding of why most individuals get close to a truth, but not exactly on it. Like you figure because all these issues are around is the reason why we shouldn't, or this, that, and the third. Well, particularly, the universal energy is stronger than anything, any weapon that's created by a non universal person. So I can't be sitting there tally on worrying about the aspect of what possibly could happen when I am a universal being. And when you see more worry in an individual on what can happen, that just shows you the less of universal conductivity that they have. Because fear doesn't hold resonant with that. That's not something that holds resonant with the universe. They don't fear anything. There's no fear. Fear is from the lesser value of a creation. So that's only you only develop that emotion when you're close to something that you feel that is not relative to your creation. Like if you can't conquer the relativity, if you can't conquer or stand strong relative to the situation, then ultimately you possibly can be destroyed. So that's what fear actually comes from. It's not, and then the word was created out of lesser pretenses with the lesser beings, but at the same time, the feeling of fear was created from higher beings by trying to do something, in a non-relative motion, knowing that there's consequences. So the quantum understanding to separate yourself, and this is not to, be any more less to the greatness of what you are. What it is it has everything to do with you letting go of what the plane of existence has to hold you as far as being this type of human existence, and to step back into what the primordial waters rules, their rules are. And even if you're in the physical body, to follow the rules of the ethereal, the ethereal and the primordial aspect shows that you're still connected and have a loyalty to the Most High Creator. So then, even if your physical is here, you will be allowed to work where you're from, thus creating better situations here on the plane of existence. And see the reason for CERN and all that crazy shit that they got going on and everything that they want you to see that they're bigger. Think about it. Your nervous system stress out longer than your intestines. Like I think your intestines is like so many miles or whatever like that, but then your nervous system is like so many hundreds of thousands of miles. You know what I'm saying? Why the fuck you think that the fucking that damn circle they built is even bigger now? They had that shit back in the 50s, man, in the 40s. They made that shit like 100 miles bigger, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like these motherfuckers are really trying to recreate us because we are a walking quantum field. But we choose to speed up and slow down the process of our creation on understanding less thereof of what we possibly may needed for the conduciveness of the growth of the life we're in at the moment. So at the moment, you may not even have a particular, but because of what you're dealing with, that's what you're creating, that existence, right? And that's why it feels like, wait, how am I supposed to be so great when I'm not doing nothing. I want to create this. No, it's the level of existence that you have yourself in, right? You can't just say, well, how am I God and I can't make nothing. No, that's the level of the existence that you're comfortable in, the status of your actual existence physically through the energy conception, the vibration you live. It only allows you to access what you're primed to access at that moment, the prime and the reality. The prime is the understanding of where you are in the ethereal fields. The reality is what you can do as far as your creation. You see what I'm saying? So to overstand that, you know what I'm saying? That's just you knowing that you have to get deeper back to where you come from, even if you're physical. That means you have to overstand that pretense more and live by those rules in this world. Now, when living by these rules in this world pulls you farther away from your originality, is the reason why you can't feel or you don't understand the conscious understanding, or why most of the conscious people who seemingly so more hyperactive, or you know what I'm saying, more deeply in tune to what we come from than that. But they're touching it. They're not actually dealing with it. It's some brothers that are dealing with it, you know what I mean, dealing with the actual quantum magic. And some people call it alchemy or whatever. But when they're locked in these terms and they talking about these terms of what they call it, they're still stuck in a systematic way of living, because it's the European way of thinking that you're using to call what the universe is giving you, and you can't use that as a title. You can't use that as a title to sum up the ethereal, or you know the netru, or the naga, or you know what I'm saying. None of that. You can't. Their spells. It takes the energy from the universal pretense. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just, and then that culture likes to do things so much to where they overdo it. You know what I'm saying? It's always been the way they are, like even since. I'm not saying anything bad. That's the facts. You know what I'm saying? So this is why you have so many of the what you want to call the Frankenstein concepts walking around. They're everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Yes, they're Frankensteins. It's just what it is. A bunch of them. You know what I mean? And the Chinese are very intelligent. Very intelligent. They always have been. As far as smart, they can pay attention to something and write documents on what the actual events. I give them credit on that. You know what I mean? That doesn't make anything universal. You know what I'm saying? That just gives them access to learn the magics around them and learn how to harness that. And that's what they were able to do. But that's not quantum either. That's using the residue off the quantum. You know what I'm saying? We were burning up life in creation. We were just creating shit. You know what I'm saying? Out of thoughts, farts and shit, creating shit. Like, you know what I mean? And we burnt up. We left a lot of fucking residue around. And with all that shit, that residue, it had made other things. It made other creations that we didn't control. And it's like it was a big mess. You know, you start to overstand things. It gets so deep, even when I be building with other individuals, you know what I'm saying, I actually learn as I'm building, because it's like I'll say something in conjunction to something else, right? And then get an epiphany. Right? I was building with someone earlier, and I actually seen the spirit sit next to me. And then they seen the spirit sit next to me. And it was like I was tapping in, and it was like I literally seen them get up and move. It was crazy. There was no fear though. It was good, clean energy, It's so deep. I ain't gonna even go deep on that aspect, but the quantum is crazy, man. Like the quantum is where we personally want to be. And you don't be afraid. It doesn't take you from nothing. It's just you can't let them keep controlling you by words, wordplay, instruction. You're not a slave. You're a prisoner of war. Okay? And you have to fight back. You understand you're a prisoner of war, you know that they're trying to put chains on what you're capable of doing. And that's scratching up the lens you use, which they shine the universal energy through your pineal gland, which shines out the rainbow of nine, which makes you an efficient being, more efficient than anything on this planet. So that's the issue. You have to shine that. You have to shine that. Polish that eye. So then you can shine through the rays of creation and stand in that aspect. But you're never going to do that until you choose to start following the rules of the universe. The rules of this earth don't matter. Not at all. Not at all. They're only here to protect the people that want to be relevant. You know what I'm saying? Like they need to be relevant. That's the only that's the whole issue. Like it's the need to be more relevant. Like they know we feel life to the fullest. So that's where the hate is from. Like, damn, y'all get to do it and we can't. That's where it comes from. That's the bottom line. Like, damn, they can feel that. Yeah, you get in the argument and all that, but that you still don't feel nothing. You're gonna be just barbaric, just like a fucking monkey. That's all you can do. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But the reality is, they hoping that they get this grace, so then they can feel more. Actually, feel the breeze, feel the sun, like deeply. You know. So it's cool. Um, yeah, like I said, man, understanding that the quantum flows through us, and the more that you think on being structured here in the system, that you're building a dam inside yourself. And this is why they build dams outside the world, because this is what they're doing to you. They're damming up the flow. Period. That's why calcification is just like concrete. Think about it. You know what I'm saying? Like calcification, cast on your arm. Cast is hard, similar to concrete. They use concrete to build a dam. See what I'm saying? That's how motherfuckers think. They're not intelligent at all. Not at all. What you have to do is just understand the pretense of how they put their Lego blocks together. You know what I'm saying? And it's just that simple. Like, it's deep. And sometimes I don't even like to dive in it because people be like, yo, what is he talking about? Those words don't mean nothing. All right, they don't, but why do they exist? Why do you find yourself in, like, all right, I'm going to give you a concept. I was breaking this down to somebody earlier. I was like, when people watch Lord of the Rings, right? It's a scene where you see the Hobbit, and you see the little what they call them, the little dwarves together, right? And they on the mountain, and then the mountain starts fighting giant motherfuckers, right? They throwing rocks at each other, boom, 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 and then before the mountain stand up that they walking across, Frodo, the Hobbit, is about to fall, right? Fall. They show you the giants, and then they show him falling, right? And then he goes in the cave, and then he's ready to go home, back to where he came from. Why show you in that movie one time giants fight? You never see those stone giants again. Never again. Not even important. Reason why they did that, and this is the deep reason, I think this is a deep reason why the universe allowed it to play like that, is because if you were once a god and you fell from existence, falling would seem more or less like falling off a couch or off a table. But if you fell into smaller existences, that would make more sense, right? So when they were watching the giants fight, and then the symbology of Frodo falling, and then wanting to go home as soon as they enter the cave, like, I want to go back. This is not for me. I know what it's like to be a god. I want to go home. He didn't say that, but he said, I know what it's like to have a family. I want to go home to my house, to my shit. It was like, you're right. We don't know what it's like to be a god. That's the angels who left being mad that God created something stronger than them or more pretense than them. They're like, you're right. We want to get back home too, but they left out of fucking jealousy. You see what I'm saying? So then when you're dealing with these pretenses, you see it all over you. You see it all over every story. It's like they can't write another story for nothing, because these motherfuckers is sick. They sick to death with this shit. They like, oh, we fucked up. We made a mistake. We was just learning. I'm sorry. I'll be better, God. The Most High, like, fuck is wrong with you? Your job was to be an angel, not a creator. That's what that's about. But yeah, I ain't about to dive in and go deeper. Just know that primordial water was set. When they set it right here, right? The primordial water stream, and it comes out here. You know what I'm saying? What they try to do is move it down, like move the primordial waters down your body to your lower chakra. So now the water flows through this stone, through the lower chakra. So now every time you create out of sex thoughts. You know what I'm saying? That's the reason why they were starting to rape motherfuckers and molestation and all that, so they can keep you in your lower chakra. You will create in that world, because that's where they are. They want you to come back down the elevator, because that's the level they are, right? So then eventually you would rise back to your next level of the chakra, and the light would shine through there, and we would create through that aspect. And then as we rise back up the chakras, we would create through the primordial waters there, because you have to understand the light is shining through it. This is quantum. The light is shining through it, and the light is the water. It's the energy. It's the flow. So it's shining through each stone. If you want to, if so to say, each stone, each crystal, each chakra. You know what I'm saying? Each chakra color is shining through it, and it's illuminating through the efficiency. This is what gives us our full efficiency. Okay, know that. That's the pretense. That's why we're able to create when we line up all chakras and get the light to shine through all of them. And they give you concepts like unblocking your chakra river. See, but they tell it to you wrong. They tell you to unblock the chakra river. Okay, that's a way of looking at it because they're trying to say that the river is flowing through them, and it is, but it's not flowing through them to them. Like it's like they're trying to make you think it's flowing like two, one, two, three, four, like it's going from one chakra to the next. No, it's not flowing from one chakra to the next. It's flowing like this. Like if you have all chakras going this way, the whole is flowing through all of them. So what happens is while it's flowing through one, right, it'll cut off through the rest of them because they're scratched. It's like they don't get the like it's the vision is blind, so it can't flow all through it. It's a blockage, so it'll flow through the ones that are open, and this is where you start to excel in different parts of your life. It's because those values are available for you, and that's why I say they're values. Your chakras are values. It's the universal values that was put into you. That's what your chakras are. You know what I'm saying? So if you can get to the universal values and understand that, you know what I'm saying, then you can clean off that lens, okay, that would allow the ethereal waters to flow that way through the chakras, which will give you a broader efficiency of outward light. This is why when they seen the deities, they seemed white because the flow of chakras was all lit up at once, coming from the middle, and the light that shined from the middle of what was the illumination of all chakras. So it would shine from the middle of you outward, which would change the actual physical color at the moment because they look so bright. But then the light would dim, and then you're standing in the physical. Okay, that's a different overstanding. You know what I mean? See, I don't went too deep already. You know what I mean? And people were like, "Yo, what is he talking about?" Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna leave it right there. You know, I just wanted to tap into the overstanding of why they try to complicate what quantum physics is. Okay, and quantum physics is not complicated at all. It's actually one of the simplest things in the world. You just have to understand what part of life it really resonated at for you and what happened